Yeah, so that's how the money came to me. I didn't deal with Bigelow at all, and I never went to any of the meetings of the UFO Research Coalition. I just heard about them from Dick Hall and some of the other people, Walt Andrews, and some of the other people that were involved at the time.
Now, Walt's dead now, isn't he? I'm losing. Is
yeah,
Walt dead?
He passed away.
Yeah.
Yes, he passed away. That's why MUFON is no longer in Texas. It's in.
Yeah.
It's moved as a new director's appointed. It's moved. So
well,
they have
Jan
to move
Harzan was in California, and I know Captain, unless he's moved, was down there at the Cincinnati line, and I was in across the line. I was over in Beaver Dam, Kentucky. Had to go through Louisville and go over to Cincinnati. And I think that's where he and his wife are picking up the ball to hold it for us until we get everybody organized again and public relations and who's doing what. But as far as I know, the directors, some of them look fairly young. I don't even know who they are anymore. I think the Captain's the only one I know on MUFON. But folks, we've got a lot of work to do, and we can't unorganize what we've already got organized. So we've got
here's the problem.
A lot of people don't want to do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here's the problem. A lot of people do research and investigations, and it's a lot of effort, and especially investigations, if you do it right, it takes a lot of effort. And then writing it up and sending it in, and then to have it disappear like it has with a lot of old organizations or individuals when they pass. Steve Putnam ran the two-state study group. When he passed, his wife threw everything in the dumpster.
Great. Okay.
In fact, she called some of the people that Steve Putnam worked with, and she said, "Come on over, and you can." Now, what she did is, before she called anybody, she got a dumpster out at her house. She threw all the stuff that Putnam had personally in the dumpster and had it carted away. Then she called these people to come over. And then she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's just been carted away." That was her last act of vengeance, because she didn't like what he was doing. He was spending too much time with UFOs and not enough with her. So,
wow. So that's part of our culture. Suzanne needs to hear this.
That's real vengeance for you, let me tell you.
Wow. Yeah, there's nobody really has the right to destroy those things. And so we really have to, boy, was she angry.
She was.
Really, that is just really an angry person. So, but also we have to think that maybe there was something actually really wrong with her, that she would think that was a good way to handle things.
Yeah, or, you almost lose your husband to this ephemeral phenomena that's going on. So I can see, there are a lot of women that are unhappy about the way that their husbands get so involved in this that they and it's not. In some cases, it's wives too that get too involved.
Well, let's look at the worldview, because Suzanne's coming in, and she just volunteered today, so she's brand new green, and she wasn't into the UFO business, but she understands the ancient myths and legends and how it affects the world, and she knows about them. And, and Janet, of course, has been doing this with me, archiving, for at least since 2012, so I know she's on our side. But, we're doing oral archives, so I've got these from 2012, including your history, and we're hopefully going to get people to help me transcribe yours, and hopefully it won't be after you're gone, but it may be. I don't know. But the thing is, we'll have them oral reports. So let's, Suzanne, do you have any questions for Jan? Because Jan is 76, and I'd like him to, I don't know how long he's going to live or how long he expects to live, but, every time I get to talk to him is a blessing for me to get it here because he knows I want to help him, and we all the new people that hopefully we'll be training. I hope I'm going to be 69, folks, so I'm not a spring chicken. But we've got to get all the kids into something organized with all these associations around the world and get them working together. So I need to get all the links of people that have been working with Jan or Jan knows and that will help with the ones I know. Because, I know a lot of the old guys, but they didn't know me on the inside or outside. I've been doing this since 1967, but it's hard to keep up with everything. So I've got a lot of women that will help us, but we've got to know how to bring all these groups together. So Worldview, Jan, and Suzanne, on the Worldview, how can we help all these groups? Because there's a lot of issues we're not really getting into. Janet could have helped on that. But you just heard one.
Is Janet on the phone with us still?
No, she dropped off. She was, but she dropped off because of she had house banging in the background, so she got off.
So Jan, are you? Well, first of all, can I say thank you for dedicating your life to collecting this information and creating a chronological history, and thank you today for sharing your oral history with us because. Your oral history is just as valid as a written history, and I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us in a very, very honest way. It's a laborious process for you to put this together in chronological order, but I've really enjoyed learning just a little piece. It feels like I just have a snapshot, and so thank you. First of all, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, We've done oral histories, too.
Okay,
about 200 of them.
Okay, cool. So I have a question for you now.
Yeah.
So you started doing this when you were in college, so that was 1960, is that right?
Well, no, I started doing this about 1958.
1958. Okay, so 62 years. So you started doing this when you were, how old were you? You must have, oh my gosh, that's not, how's that possible?
I was in high school. I was just,
in high school. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And are you married? Have you married? Do you have children?
I have been married, yeah. I have a son, and I have 3 grandkids.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, really lovely. Okay. And so the whole time I was listening to you, I was thinking, well, what was the most interesting story that you got involved in and that you researched? What was the one that you personally... So I think that, just your pure history stands on its own, but I'm just curious as a human, what is the most interesting story to you personally? Not recognition, verifiable, or anything else. Just what's the most interesting story for you as a person?
Well, I used to travel around with Tom Talene. I said we have 200 oral histories, but he's the main one with oral history. But he would take me along on a lot of these trips. We would go around. This is not the Project 47 thing. This is an oral history project that we were on.
Okay.
So we would travel around the country, going from one place to another, interviewing scientists, people from the government, witnesses, and I think we had started out in Arizona, and then we made our way. We did a couple interviews there, and then we made our way to New Mexico. We interviewed a witness there, went through Texas and Oklahoma, and ended up in all the way down in a little tip in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything about this case. I had never read anything about it. Well, I think I'd read something in Hynek, but Hynek doesn't do it justice. So this was the pilot who witnessed this case. He's a B-52 pilot.
Okay.
And
what year is this?
1968.
Fabulous. Okay, good.
So they kept it out of the Condon report because they fussed around with the investigation until after the report was written and on the Secretary of Air Force's desk. So it didn't. It didn't get in that. It was a fantastic case. Right around the end of the project, there were a lot of fantastic cases that didn't get investigated or only cursory. So, anyways, they had been on nuclear alert, and after you go off nuclear alert, you've got to everything's got to be checked out, the plane, the personnel, and so they were on like a 48-hour flight. They took off and all the equipment and everything, and the people were checked out, and they did certain things that they had to do. That's every nuclear plane that's ever been, B-52 that's ever been on a nuclear duty. So they're coming back to their base at Minot, North Dakota, and as they come in to land, the tower calls them and says, "We've got something that we want you to check out." And he says, "What is it? What is it?" He says, "Just keep flying where you are. It's coming to you."
Okay.
So, okay, the pilot's flying the plane. He doesn't see what's going on. This UFO comes up in back of him.
Okay.
And the guy at the radar, he sees this thing, and it's acting. I mean, it's going over 1,000 miles an hour, and it's in back of the plane, and it's going from one side to the other and doing all kinds of weird things, and it's fairly big. And so he starts taking pictures from the radar.
No way.
Pictures of the radar.
No way. Okay.
So he's taking a radar picture. Well, it's just, he just knew to do it. I mean, that's the way they're trained, Right. So it's something unusual, so he's going to take a picture, and he takes a whole bunch of radar pictures. The pilot hasn't seen it because it's in the back of him, but he knows it's there because they're telling him that. So they come into land, and the thing is following them. And at a certain point, the radios go out. Now, this is a nuclear-capable aircraft.
Right.
The radios don't go out. If a radio goes out, they have another one just exactly the same that they can turn that one on.
Okay.
Both radios go on. They have redundant systems. Both radios go off. Switching to other frequencies doesn't do anything. Finally, the UFO goes down towards the ground, and they're supposed to land. Then a voice besides the controller at the control tower comes on and tells them to go around and make another. Go around and look at the UFO. So they look at the UFO. It's really strange. It's a body like an egg, and then it looks like it has a tube coming up and a cabin that's separated, connected to the egg-shaped thing with like on a tube.
Okay.
And so they come back around. Now, they didn't have permission to land, but the pilot said, "I'm going to land it." That's bad news. You don't do that. You don't. It's. But anyways, that's what he did. So he's coming in, and it's flying alongside him, and he gets a good view of it. So.
Wow.
There's several pilots on the plane. One guy was just there for a checkout, but he's the senior guy. So they land. Now the tower knows what's going on, and the tower says, send the senior man out here to the operation